Look at her, playing dress-up in our ER, Dr. Reed sneered, loud enough for the entire waiting room to hear. Someone take out the trash before it infects a paying patient. The words, sharp and venomous, sliced through the stale, anxious air of the Unity Crest Medical Center emergency room. It was 2:47 a.m. Under the flickering fluorescent lights that hummed a weary tune, every surface seemed to gleam with a sterile hostility. The scent of antiseptic and unspoken fear clung to everything. Serena Monroe held her son, Leo, tighter. His small, 8-year-old body was a furnace against her chest, his breathing shallow. She could feel the tremors of his fever even through his private school uniform, the crest of St. Jude's Academy peeking from under his jacket. Despite the crushing exhaustion pulling at her own bones after a marathon emergency board meeting, Serena's posture remained impeccable. Her Tom Ford suit, a charcoal gray masterpiece of tailoring, was a silent testament to a world far removed from this fluorescent purgatory. Dr. Evelyn Reed, a woman whose severe blonde bob and pinched expression seemed to be a permanent fixture, took a theatrical step back. She wrinkled her nose, her disdain a performance for the 20 or so other people scattered across the waiting room. "Security," she barked, her voice echoing off the linoleum floors. "Get this element out of here. We have a standard of care to maintain." The security guard, a large man near the door, shifted uncomfortably but didn't move. A few people looked up from their phones, their tired faces registering a flicker of shock. 3 smartphones were discreetly raised. Serena didn't flinch. She simply adjusted Leo's weight, her Patek Philippe watch catching the harsh light for a fleeting moment. "My son has a fever of 103. He needs to see a doctor." Her voice was calm, measured, the voice she used to command boardrooms, not to plead in emergency rooms. Dr. Reed crossed her arms, a smug smirk playing on her lips. "And I need to see proof of payment before we waste any resources." Hospital policy. She projected her voice, ensuring everyone was a witness to her authority. "That will be a $2,500 deposit. Cash only." A collective intake of breath rippled through the room. A construction worker with a bandaged arm winced. An elderly woman clutched her purse tighter. The demand was designed to be impossible, an insurmountable wall. In the corner, a college student named Alex, running a small live stream channel called The Citizen's Lens, angled his phone for a better shot. The viewer count, initially at 47, began to climb. "Is this for real?" A comment scrolled by. Ignoring the stares, Serena reached into her Bottega Veneta handbag. The woven leather was understated, a quiet declaration of wealth for those who knew what to look for. Dr. Reed watched, expecting a crumpled wad of bills or a tearful retreat. Instead, Serena's fingers emerged with a single, sleek black card. It was matte, minimalist, with the words Apex Black embossed in subtle silver lettering. It wasn't a credit card. It was a key, a passport to a level of corporate healthcare reserved for the absolute pinnacle of the business world. She held it out. "Will this suffice?" Dr. Reed snatched the card, her eyes narrowing. She'd never seen one like it. Her mind immediately jumped to the most cynical conclusion. "Probably a fake," she muttered, just loud enough for those nearby to hear. The first real crack in Serena's composure appeared, a slight tightening of her jaw. The battle had just begun. Dr. Reed held the Apex Black card between her thumb and forefinger as if it were contaminated. "A very creative attempt. I'll give you that," she announced to the room, her voice dripping with condescending praise. "But we're not fools here. This is a classic case of insurance fraud, trying to access premium services with a stolen or forged document." The accusation, loud and public, hung in the air. Alex's livestream viewer count exploded, jumping from a few hundred to over 2,000 in less than a minute. The chat was a waterfall of outrage. The hashtag #ERFail was born, quickly followed by hashtag Unity Crest Scandal. Screenshots were already migrating to Twitter and local Facebook groups. "Doctor, that card is legitimate," Serena stated, her voice losing its practiced calm and gaining a steely edge. "It is issued to my family through my corporation. Now, Are you going to treat my son? Or do I need to speak to your superior? As if on cue, the administrative office door swung open and Brenda Larson, the night supervisor, bustled out. Her gray pantsuit was wrinkled, her face a mask of bureaucratic fatigue. She assessed the situation not with fresh eyes, but through the lens of workplace politics. Dr. Reed was a senior physician with a long tenure. The black woman with the sick child was a disruption. "Ma'am," Brenda began, her tone immediately dismissive as she positioned herself beside Dr. Reed, a united front of authority. "Dr. Reed is our senior attending physician. If she has determined your documentation is invalid, then it is invalid. Our policy is clear. We cannot offer services. I must ask you to leave." "Leave?" Serena's voice was incredulous. "My son is burning up. Look at him." Leo stirred, his eyes fluttering open. "Mommy," he whimpered, his voice barely a whisper. The sound cut through the tension like a scalpel. "My head hurts. Can we just go home?" That single, heartbreaking plea was the catalyst. It shattered Serena's carefully constructed wall of corporate composure. The CEO receded, and the mother emerged, a lioness whose cub had just been threatened. The exhaustion in her eyes was replaced by a blazing fire. She looked from Dr. Reed's smug face to Brenda Larson's indifferent one. She saw the raised phones, the shocked and averted gazes of the other patients. She had tried reason. She had tried following their rules. They had left her with no other choice. Balancing Leo on her hip with an effortless grace born of practice, she reached back in her handbag and retrieved her phone. Her thumb moved with purpose across the screen, scrolling to a contact saved with a single, elegant name. Eleanor. Dr. Reed chuckled. "Oh, here we go. Calling for backup? Who's it going to be? Your baby daddy? Some community organizer? I assure you, we won't be intimidated." The phone connected on the first ring. Serena ignored the doctor completely, her focus absolute. Her voice, when she spoke, was not loud, but it carried a weight that seemed to suck the air out of the room. "Eleanor," she said, "it's Serena Monroe." A profound silence fell over the emergency room. The humming of the lights and the frantic tapping on phone screens seemed to fade into nothingness. "Yes, that's Serena Monroe," she continued into the phone, her gaze locked on Dr. Reed, whose mocking smile was beginning to look brittle. "I'm at Unity Crest Medical Center, the emergency department. I need you to bring the legal team." "No, not one lawyer. The entire team. Immediately." The words "legal team" echoed in the sudden quiet. Brenda Larson's bureaucratic certainty faltered. Dr. Reed's face, which had been flushed with smug authority, began to pale. She finally seemed to grasp that this was not the kind of confrontation she had anticipated. Who are you?" Dr. Reed stammered, the question a weak whisper. Serena ended the call with a deliberate tap of her finger. She reached into the inner pocket of her suit jacket and produced a slim, elegant business card case. With a flick of her thumb, a card slid out. It was heavy cardstock, the lettering crisp and embossed. She held it out for Dr. Reed to take. The doctor's hand trembled as she took it. She read the words, and then read them again, her mind refusing to process the information. Serena Monroe, Chief Executive Officer, Apex Health Holdings. The name of the corporation struck like a lightning bolt. Apex Health Holdings wasn't just a partner. It was a titan, a corporate empire that owned a vast network of specialist clinics and medical tech companies. They were the single largest source of patient referrals and equipment contracts for Unity Crest. From across the room, a young Asian doctor, Kenji Tanaka, who had just finished with another patient, saw the card being passed around by wide-eyed onlookers. His blood ran cold. He knew that name. He knew that company. He started forward, a sense of impending doom washing over him. "Dr. Reed," he began, his voice urgent. "We need to stay out of this, Tanaka." Reed snapped, her fear manifesting as aggression. "I've been practicing medicine for 25 years. I know how to handle a situation. You're a resident. You know nothing." Dr. Tanaka froze, silenced by the brutal assertion of hierarchy. Brenda Larson, meanwhile, was frantically trying to regain control. "Security!" she shrieked, pointing a trembling finger at Serena. I gave you a direct order. Remove this woman and her child now. All eyes turned to the security guard, David Cole. He was a broad-shouldered man, his face usually impassive. But tonight, his expression was different. He looked at the sick little boy, so close in age to his own daughter, and then at the women berating the child's mother. He unclipped the two-way radio from his belt. With a quiet, deliberate motion, he placed it on the reception counter. "No," he said, his voice calm but resolute. He crossed his arms over his chest. "I will not." The act of defiance was stunning. It was a clear signal that the established power structure of the room had fractured. The foundation was cracking, and everyone could feel the tremors. Serena gave David Cole a brief, almost perceptible nod of acknowledgement before turning her full attention back to the two women who had set this catastrophe in motion. "CEO is just a title, Dr. Reed," Serena said, her voice dropping to a low, conversational tone that was somehow more menacing than a shout. "It's what I do. It's not who I am." The atmosphere in the emergency room was electric. Alex's live stream had surged past 50,000 viewers. The comments were a frantic, unreadable blur. This was no longer a local incident. It was a viral phenomenon, a real-time drama, captivating a massive, unseen audience. Serena reached into her Bottega Veneta bag one last time. Her movements were unhurried, almost languid. She wasn't searching for a wallet or a phone. She retrieved a handsome, navy blue leather portfolio, the kind used for board meetings. It was sealed with a simple leather tie. The gold embossing on the cover caught the harsh fluorescent light, gleaming with an undeniable authority. Unity Crest Medical Center, Board of Directors Confidential. Every smartphone in the room zoomed in, straining to capture the text. A collective, silent gasp seemed to pass through the digital ether. "You asked who I am," Serena said, untying the leather strap. She opened the portfolio. The first page was a list of names and titles. Her manicured finger rested on the very top line. "I am Serena Monroe, chairman of the board of directors of this hospital." If the business card had been a lightning strike, this was the thunder that followed, shaking the very foundations of the building. Dr. Reed stumbled back, her hand flying her mouth. Brenda Larson looked as though she might faint. "But that," Serena continued, her voice as smooth as silk, "is also just a title." She deliberately turned to the second page. It was filled with dense legal text, official state seals, and notarized signatures. Share ownership certificates, corporate filings. Through a subsidiary holding company, Apex Health Holdings LLC, registered in the state of Delaware, she explained, as if delivering a routine quarterly report. "I personally own 51% of Unity Crest Medical Center." Total, absolute, deafening silence. The aggressive hum of the air conditioning system was the only sound. Dr. Reed's face had cycled through a ghastly palette of colors, from pale to ashen to a nauseating shade of green. Her career wasn't just in jeopardy. Her entire professional existence was now in the hands of the woman she had publicly, repeatedly, and viciously humiliated. You own." Brenda Larson's voice was a strangled croak. Serena turned to the third and final page she intended to show them. It was a copy of an employment contract. She laid the portfolio on the counter for all to see. At the top of the page, a name and salary were clearly visible. Dr. Evelyn Reed, Senior Attending Physician. Annual gross salary, $247,000. Serena's finger traced a line down to the bottom of the page, to two distinct signatures. "This is your signature, Doctor, dated 3 years ago when my company acquired this hospital." Her finger then moved to the other signature, an elegant, authoritative script. "And this is the signature of my authorized representative." She looked up, her eyes locking with Dr. Reed's. She delivered the final, devastating blow, her voice quiet but absolute. "I don't just work here, doctor. I own here." The words hung in the air, irrevocable and absolute. In that moment, the power dynamics of the room didn't just shift, they inverted with explosive force. Dr. Tanaka was the first to move. Seizing the opportunity, he rushed forward. "Let's get him to VIP Suite 1 immediately," he commanded the nurses, who sprang into action with palpable relief. Full blood panel, for fluids, and prep for a meningitis test now. As they whisked Leo away into the secure treatment area, Serena's eyes followed them, a flicker of a mother's fear momentarily eclipsing the CEO's icy control. She then turned back to the two women frozen in the wreckage of their careers. "Dr. Reed," Serena began, her voice devoid of emotion. "You have two options. You can write your resignation letter, effective immediately. In return, my company will provide a neutral professional reference, stating only your dates of employment. Or you could be terminated for cause. If you choose that path, Apex Health Holdings will file a federal discrimination lawsuit against you personally. It will follow you to every medical board and potential employer in this country for the rest of your life. You have 5 minutes to decide." She didn't wait for an answer. Her gaze shifted to the night supervisor. "Brenda Larson, your employment at Unity Crest Medical Center is terminated, effective immediately. For cause, gross professional negligence and enabling discriminatory conduct. You will be escorted from the premises. There will be no severance." Larson collapsed into a desk chair, her face a mask of utter disbelief and despair. Just then, the main entrance doors slid open. A formidable group of 6 people in immaculate dark suits strode in, led by a woman with a sleek tablet and an air of uncompromising efficiency. It was Eleanor, Serena's executive assistant, with the legal team from the city's most aggressive corporate law firm. They moved with the silent, coordinated precision of a special forces unit, their presence sucking any remaining defiance from the room. "Legal is here," Serena said, more to herself than anyone else. She pulled out her phone and made another call. "Connect me to the board. Full emergency session. Encrypted video. I want every member online in the next 10 minutes. On the other end, there was no surprise, only compliance. "They're already on standby, Ms. Monroe. Per your standing instructions for a code, 1 incident." Within minutes, a large monitor in the administrative office, visible through the glass, flickered to life, showing the faces of the 9 other board members, all looking grim and expectant from their homes and private offices. Serena walked toward the office, pausing at the threshold. She looked back at the emergency room, at Dr. Reed, trembling over a blank piece of paper, at Brenda Larson, being spoken to in low tones by a lawyer, at the patients and staff, watching in stunned silence. Her expression softened. This wasn't about revenge. Revenge was too small, too personal. This was about ensuring this never, ever happen again. "Ladies and gentlemen of the board," she said, her voice broadcasting to the assembled titans of industry. "Tonight, we failed. Now, let me tell you how we're going to fix it. I'm proposing a new, system-wide initiative. We're going to call it the Monroe Protocol." The aftermath was swift and decisive. Dr. Evelyn Reed scribbled a hasty resignation, her 25-year career ending not with a retirement party, but with a silent, humiliating exit past the very people she had lorded over. While she avoided a lawsuit, her name and the viral footage were now inextricably linked, rendering her unemployable in any reputable medical institution. Brenda Larson was escorted out of the hospital, her 2 decades of service erased by one night of moral cowardice. In their place, a new order rose. Dr. Kenji Tanaka, whose integrity had shone through the chaos, was promoted to interim chief of emergency medicine. David Cole, the security guard who chose principle over protocol, was made the new director of hospital safety. And Alex, the student whose live stream had become the primary evidence, was offered a full scholarship and a paid internship at National News Network. But the most significant changes were institutional. The Monroe Protocol was not just a proposal. It was a revolution. Within 72 hours, Unity Crest began implementing a system-wide overhaul. It included mandatory, ongoing anti-bias training, a new, empowered patient advocacy department, and, most critically, a real-time bias detection system powered by AI that monitored patient interactions for discriminatory patterns. The story, fueled by the 12 million views of the original livestream, became a national referendum on healthcare equity. Serena Monroe accepted an invitation to testify before a congressional committee. Her calm, factual, and deeply personal account of that night, combined with the detailed, data-driven solutions of the Monroe Protocol, catalyzed the passage of the Healthcare Equity and Patient Dignity Act, mandating similar systems in all hospitals receiving federal funding. Months later, the transformation was palpable. Unity Crest, once the site of a national scandal, was now a model of equitable care. A quarterly report showed a 73% increase in patient satisfaction scores among minority communities and, most tellingly, zero formal discrimination complaints since the protocol's implementation. Serena sat in a quiet, renovated consultation room, watching a now healthy Leo happily playing a game on a tablet. Her son was safe. That was the only victory that had ever truly mattered. The rest, the corporate power, the legislation, the media attention, was simply the fallout from a mother protecting her child. A small plaque was now affixed to the wall of the ER entrance, reading, "In commitment to dignity, respect, and equitable care for all." This story isn't just about a CEO who happened to own the hospital. It's about every person who has been dismissed, judged, or treated as less than human. Serena had the power to fight back in a way most cannot, but she chose to use that power not for simple revenge, but for systemic reform. Your voice is a crucial part of this ongoing conversation. If you or someone you know has faced bias or discrimination in a healthcare setting, please share your story in the comments below with respect. Your experience matters, and it can empower others to demand the dignity they deserve. Hit the subscribe button for more stories of justice, resilience, and systemic change. Share this video to show the world that accountability isn't just possible, it's happening.